So how do we see things? So when we say things, we mean objects. And again, there are two types of objects. One type is the luminous type. So when we have a luminous type of object, this is very easy. We know that we have our sense of sight, and that is our eyes. And that involves our eyes. So if you have, for example, a light bulb, right? And obviously that light bulb is, well, luminous in nature. So it sends light rays through all directions. And one of those light rays might enter your eyes. It will be detected by your cells, and the signal will be sent to your brain, and then your brain will interpret it as you being able to see the light bulb. Okay, so very straightforward. Luminous objects create their own light. The light that they produce will travel towards your eyes. It gets detected by your sensitive cells and then turns into a signal through your optic nerve. Your optic nerve sends it to the brain. Your brain interprets what you see as that object. Okay? But for non-luminous objects, remember, non-luminous do not produce their own light. So how do we see non-luminous objects? So for example, you have a box here, and that box is in here. It does not produce its own light, so there's no light that would, come from it and be radiated all throughout, unlike in a bulb. However, you have other luminous sources. So for example, you might have a bulb in the ceiling of the room where the box is. So that bulb would send a light ray, hit the box, and then the light ray bounces off to a certain direction where your eyes intercept it. And again, the same thing as what happens here. It will be interpreted by your sensitive cells, be turned into a signal, sent to your brain, and your brain interprets that you're seeing a box. So in other words, in order to see things, we need light. For non-luminous objects, that's very easy because, for luminous objects, that's very easy because they produce their own light. So all they need to do is send that light ray to your eyes, and you can see the object now. But for non-luminous objects do not produce their own light, so they have to rely on luminous objects to illuminate them first, and then the light that illuminates them gets bounced off to a certain direction, enters the observer's eyes, and so you can now see the object. So there is this interaction between luminous and non-luminous objects with light, and that light is the one that gets interpreted by your sense of sight. So in other words, if not for the luminous objects, we would never see non-luminous objects. So case in point, if it is very, very dark in your room at night, when it's midnight and you don't have electricity because maybe it's a blackout, and you open in the dead of, and then you wake up in the dead of the night, you won't be able to see anything because there's no luminous source to illuminate the non-luminous objects. So there's no light ray from the luminous objects that would hit the non-luminous object that would be reflected to your eyes and would be interpreted as the sense of sight.